Snakes are some of the most frightening animals in the world, but that doesn't mean they always come out on top. Sometimes these slippery creatures overdo it, and in doing so, end up provoking the wrong enemy. These are 20 moments when snakes messed with the wrong opponent. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now let's get started. Number 1. Iguana versus snakes. The last one on the list honestly shouldn't have ended the way it did. It's about a young iguana trying to escape from a group of snakes advancing toward her. She shouldn't have had any chance of getting away, but with determination and willpower, she managed to flee, even sneaking through rocks to reach safety. Of course, the iguana didn't attack the snakes like in the other cases, but sometimes the best defense is the best offense, and also a great way to mock the predator's skills. This battle took place on a rocky beach where danger seemed to lurk in every crevice. The iguana, barely out of its juvenile stage, had been sunbathing peacefully, unaware of the nightmare about to unfold. Suddenly, from the cracks between the stones, the snakes began to emerge. 1, 2, then dozens. Their scales blended perfectly with the grayish terrain, making them nearly invisible until it was too late. The iguana froze for a split second, realizing she was surrounded. Her heart raced, and in that moment, instinct took over. The snakes coordinated in silence, slithering closer with precise, calculated movements. They weren't just any snakes. These were agile, experienced predators that had likely succeeded in similar hunts countless times before. But this iguana wasn't about to be an easy meal. As one snake lunged, she leapt high, landing precariously on a jagged rock. From there, she darted forward, her claws scraping against the stones as she desperately sought an escape route. The chase turned into a breathtaking spectacle. The iguana zigzagged between the boulders, sometimes disappearing entirely from sight only to reappear in another spot, leaving the snakes momentarily confused. At one point, the reptiles nearly succeeded, cornering her near a wall of rock. But with an incredible burst of speed, the iguana launched herself upwards, using her powerful hind legs to scale the steep surface. The snakes lunged again, their heads striking the empty air where she had just been. Each second felt like an eternity as the iguana kept dodging, weaving, and sprinting. The ground beneath her feet was treacherous, littered with loose stones that threatened to make her slip, but somehow she maintained her balance. The snakes, persistent as ever, kept up the pursuit, their bodies gliding over the rocks with chilling precision. But little by little, the iguana gained ground, using her agility and knowledge of the terrain to outsmart her foes. The most incredible moment came when she reached a narrow gap between two massive boulders. The iguana squeezed through with barely an inch to spare, while the snakes piled up at the entrance, unable to follow. For the first time in what felt like forever, she could pause, catch her breath, and feel the warmth of victory. She had not only survived, but she had humiliated the predators, showing that sometimes speed, intelligence, and sheer determination are stronger than brute force. This encounter remains one of nature's most dramatic examples of the hunted turning the tables on the hunter, not by fighting back, but by mastering the art of escape. The young iguana's daring dash for freedom stands as a powerful reminder that in the wild, courage and quick thinking can make all the difference between life and death. Number 2. Python versus leopard. Again. This time, the blame was all on the python because this big snake decided, quite recklessly, to mess with a large leopard, thinking it would be a wonderful meal. But the leopard was very much alive and more than capable of doing whatever it took to end the snake. The fight between the two was intense, and you can understand why the leopard put in so much effort to finish the situation. In the end, the leopard won, but was that really a surprise? To me, not at all. It all began on a quiet afternoon in the heart of the savannah. The sun cast long shadows across the dry grass, and the python, with its immense size and strength, slithered silently, its tongue flicking in and out as it sensed potential prey nearby. Spotting the leopard resting beneath an acacia tree, the snake saw an opportunity too good to pass up. Perhaps it had brought down smaller cats before, or maybe hunger clouded its judgment. Either way, it chose poorly. As the python approached, its muscular body moved with eerie grace, coiling slowly to get into striking position. But leopards are not easy targets. This leopard in particular was a seasoned predator with sharp reflexes and a keen sense of danger. The moment the snake made its move, lunging forward to wrap its coils around the cat, the leopard reacted with astonishing speed. With a powerful swipe of its paw, claws extended, it struck the snake across the head, leaving deep gashes. What followed was a brutal contest of strength and survival. The python attempted to tighten its grip, coiling around the leopard's hindquarters, trying to restrict its movement, but the leopard thrashed violently, biting and clawing with precision. The two tumbled across the ground in a cloud of dust, the python hissing and the leopard growling, each unwilling to give up. The leopard's powerful jaws found the snake's neck, delivering crushing bites intended to end the fight quickly. Minute by minute, the struggle wore on. The python's advantage in constriction was no match for the leopard's agility and ferocity. The cat managed to twist and free its body, tearing at the snake's thick scales with its claws. Blood marked the ground where they battled, a testament to the intensity of the encounter. Despite the python's size and strength, it became clear that it had underestimated its opponent. In the final moments, the leopard delivered a decisive bite to the base of the python's skull, severing vital connections. The snake's body spasmed once, twice, then lay still. The leopard stood over its defeated foe, sides heaving from the exertion, its golden eyes scanning the area to ensure no other threats lurked nearby. Victorious but weary, the leopard limped back toward the shade, leaving behind the lifeless python as a warning to any creature that might dare challenge it next. No, the result wasn't surprising at all. A leopard's combination of power, speed, and battle-hardened instinct is simply too much for even a mighty python. The snake may have been bold, but in this case, boldness led straight to its downfall. Number 3. Secretary bird versus snake. Now, I'm not sure if having a bird as a secretary would be a good idea, but you never know, right? The species known as the secretary bird is actually one of the best prepared to kill snakes, and that's all because of its legs. They have very long legs that give them not only reach but also the ability to strike enemies like snakes with such a powerful impact that it can be lethal. And as you can see here, the secretary bird took down a king cobra in no time. Yes, that super venomous snake I mentioned before. It kills with precise strikes, and that's pretty cool. But let's take a closer look at this incredible encounter. The secretary bird, with its striking black and white plumage and its crest of dark feathers that look like quills tucked behind the ear, hence the name, was patrolling the savanna, scanning the grass with sharp, intelligent eyes. Its long legs, resembling those of a stilt walker, moved with grace, but each step was deliberate, prepared for action. That's when the king cobra appeared, slithering through the undergrowth, confident and dangerous. Its hood flared, its tongue flickering as it sized up the tall bird blocking its path. What the snake didn't realize was that it was facing a specialist. The secretary bird's legs aren't just for show, they're deadly weapons. With lightning speed, the bird stomped at the cobra's head with pinpoint accuracy, delivering blows powerful enough to break bones. Each strike was measured, aimed directly at vulnerable spots, and delivered with a force that few would expect from a bird. The cobra tried to defend itself, lunging and swaying, but the secretary bird was always one step ahead. With its incredible height advantage, the bird stayed out of the snake's striking range, moving nimbly and timing its attacks perfectly. The cobra coiled, hissed, and made several attempts to land a bite, but the secretary bird's precision was unmatched. In a matter of moments, the snake began to falter, its energy drained by the repeated, crushing strikes. What's even more fascinating is how the secretary bird uses its legs not just as weapons, but as tools of strategy. It knows exactly how to tire out its prey, waiting for the right moment to deliver a final, fatal stomp. And that's exactly what happened here. The king cobra, despite its fearsome reputation and lethal venom, was no match for the bird's relentless assault. One final blow ended the struggle, the cobra's head pinned to the earth, lifeless. Watching a secretary bird in action is like witnessing a master at work. There's no hesitation, no wasted movement. Every strike, every step, is part of a calculated plan to eliminate the threat. It's no wonder that in the animal kingdom, even the most dangerous snakes think twice before crossing paths with this bird. And as strange as it may sound, if you were lost in the wilderness, having a secretary like this by your side might actually be the best protection you could hope for. So yes, it's not just pretty cool. It's absolutely remarkable how this bird, through evolution and skill, became one of nature's most efficient snake hunters. Number 4. Mother cat versus snake. A quartet of mothers fighting snakes couldn't get any better than this. But this time, we come across a mother cat versus snake. A mother cat is protecting her kittens from a snake that got too close for her liking. In this case, these are wild cats who have made a cave their shelter, and the mother senses the snake approaching, so she starts protecting her little ones. When the snake appears, the battle begins. The mother cat attacks, growls, leaps, and does everything she can to make sure the snake knows it's not taking her kittens that day. The fight was intense and both sides got injured, but in the end, the mother cat came out victorious. Number 5. Dogs versus snake. Again, how about another dog story? Two brave pet dogs faced off against a huge king cobra that slithered through their garden. The fearless 5-year-old dogs, named Motown and Lenny, ran to confront the deadly reptile and had the courage to fight the venomous snake. To be fair, they weren't being aggressive on their own, they were protecting their owner, who was inside the house at the time. They tried several times to scare the snake away, but it didn't move. Eventually, the owner came out and called emergency services to remove the snake, but it would have been a very different story if the dogs hadn't been there. Number 6. Snakes versus praying mantis. If someone told you that a snake is afraid of an insect, you'd probably say it would have to be a very special insect, right? Well, yes and no. It is an impressive insect, but not because of its size, rather because of its skill. I'm talking, of course, about the praying mantis. Although snakes aren't at the top of the praying mantis's menu, they face off against snakes whenever they get the chance. Praying mantises are formidable and patient hunters who never miss an opportunity to feed on an animal like that. On top of that, they're masters of disguise, able to launch stealthy attacks on snakes and use their arms to make sure the snake's jaws never touch them, so theoretically they don't die. Also remember that praying mantises are only about a third the size of an average snake, so killing or at least defending themselves from them is truly impressive. Number 7. Leopard versus python. You don't usually imagine a snake facing off against one of the big cats of the world, for several reasons, one of them being that most big cats have a size advantage over snakes, and snakes aren't usually on their menu. But sometimes if the food is right there and free, the real question is, why not? Like in the case of this leopard and python. To give credit to the snake, it didn't start the fight. In fact, the leopard simply ran into the snake while it was resting or even sunbathing. As you can see, the leopard gets curious at first, unsure what to do, but ends up deciding it wants to eat the snake. After playing with the python a bit, the leopard goes for its head and literally drags it to destruction. Kids, that's why you don't mess with big cats. They bite. Number 8. Snake versus crows. Here we have a mix of the last two cases, because now it's a duo as well, but with birds. We have a small snake that unfortunately attracted the attention of not one, but 2 crows. Alone, the crows would already mean the end for the snake, but fortunately for it, at least in the short term, it manages to fight back against the birds in several ways. One of them is attacking to make sure they can't fully fly away, which would be fatal for the crows. But the birds are also smart and use duo tactics to attack the snake one at a time, making sure they stay close and that the snake can't escape. This creates a situation where the snake is at a disadvantage, a small snake in an open space with nowhere to hide, facing 2 hungry and very determined crows. Number 9. Woodpecker versus snake. Here's another confrontation you wouldn't immediately imagine happening. Yes, snakes sometimes live in trees and some even attack birds to feed, but you don't often think of a direct fight between them. In this case, however, the woodpecker is a mother after all, 3 is a company, and the snake in question is a yellow-bellied puffing snake that came out of a hole in the tree where the woodpecker has her eggs, trying to steal them. Naturally, the mother woodpecker isn't going to allow that. And do you think this mother is at a disadvantage? Not at all. Remember that the woodpecker's beak is used to drill into hard wood to make its nest, so piercing a snake's flesh would be relatively easy, or it would be if the snake didn't fight back. Instead, the mother woodpecker was bitten several times, fell from the tree, but got back up to keep defending her chicks. That's love and dedication, ladies and gentlemen. Number 10. Dogs versus king cobra. If you were to rank some of the snakes in the world, the king cobra would easily be among the most deadly and famous. They are large and venomous, and if they bite a human, they could kill them up to 20 times over. They have a bite force strong enough to take down even an elephant, so you'd think any animal dumb enough to try to fight one of these snakes would probably not come out well. But there's a loophole. Why fight the snake one-on-one when you can take it on with your pack? And that's exactly what some dogs did, using group mentality to work as a team and outmaneuver the immediate dangers of the king cobra to teach it a lesson. Basically, one dog distracts the snake while another bites it. And as you can see, this snake is very long, so the dogs can sneak up and even drag it across the ground to get what they want. I give credit to the snake because it withstands the attacks and tries to fight back, but the dogs clearly have the advantage that day. You rarely see this kind of tactic against the snakes because they are ambush predators, so it's refreshing to see that sometimes strategy wins. Number 11. Mother Squirrel versus Snake. Here's the continuation of the series because we have another mother trying to defend her young from a fierce predator. In this case, a snake versus a mother squirrel, but not a fight that favors the mother squirrel, to be honest. But does the mother care? Not at all. The babies are at stake, and she not only faces the snake, but does so with all the grit she can muster. They fight in open areas, along the tree line, and the mother uses her tail to try to gain the upper hand. She uses her lightning-fast reflexes to dodge the snake's attacks. It's a beautiful thing to watch. The only bad thing is that someone was filming all of this and didn't help the squirrel when it was in danger. Seriously, lady, get out of there and help. But no, all this person did was praise the mother squirrel afterward, saying she had seen it all before, talking about a mother's limitless love that never fades until the last breath, and how that explains the strength of a mother squirrel facing a powerful snake. Yes, it's amazing, but even a mother knows when to ask for help. So, go ahead and help, even if it's just by throwing a rock at the snake to distract it so the squirrel can escape with her babies. Every bit of help counts, right? Are we maybe getting a bit too involved? No, we're not. Number 12. Coastal Taipan versus Frog. Now, if you know snake species, you know the coastal taipan is one of the most venomous snakes in the world today. Its venom is so strong that a single bite can kill you within hours. So, you'd be forgiven for thinking that few but powerful creatures in the animal kingdom could take down such a venomous serpent. But, in fact, this is the story of how a green tree frog defeated and ate a coastal taipan. And I'm not making this up, because Jamie Chappell, a snake catcher from Queensland, can confirm and prove it. He found a frog eating a coastal taipan. I don't know how the frog managed to catch the snake, but it ate so much of it that when Chappell arrived, the snake's head was still hanging out of the frog's mouth. That's right, you heard it. A living taipan was being eaten by a frog. You could tell the snake was still alive because it was moving inside the frog's belly. That might explain why the frog didn't eat the head. It didn't want to swallow the internal organs, and you thought frogs were just cute and friendly creatures? Wrong. Number 13. Rattlesnake versus Rex now. If you poke the bear and the bear comes after you, well, that's exactly what happened when some rattlesnakes decided to mess with a lizard that some people called Rex. In this video, we see several rattlesnakes provoking some large lizards who then run off thinking nothing will happen to them. Ah, those deluded snakes. If only the animal kingdom worked like that. But unfortunately for them, it doesn't, because these lizards, Dino and Rex, went after the rattlesnakes. Rex actually found them and then ate every single one. The rattlesnakes were not happy about that. That's right, the lizard went to an all-you-can-eat buffet and started devouring those rattlesnakes like they were nothing. Just look at how easily this lizard is feeding on them. That's not just strange, it's wrong. And yet, you can bet Rex is living his best life, probably savoring the most delicious meal he's ever had. Because revenge, well, it's a dish best served cold, or, in this case, cold-blooded. After all, snakes and lizards are cold-blooded. Anyway, moving on. The point here is that this is something you don't see unless you're looking, because although snakes get eaten all the time, it doesn't happen that easily. The worst part? Maybe it's that these lizards will probably never have such a good meal again. Number 14. Snake versus Mother Hen. Notice the words I chose. It's not just any hen, it's a mother hen. Because as we all know, when it comes to protecting her young, a mother will do anything, even unleashing a part of herself she didn't know existed to get what she needs. Enter the mother hen standing beside her chicks when a venomous snake appears. Normally, this would be an easy prey for the snake because it would only need to bite the mother hen, inject venom, and then the chicks would be at its mercy. But the mother hen gets furious, and as you can see, she does everything she can to protect her babies from the snake. It's truly a spectacle to watch. The hen strikes the snake repeatedly, flapping her wings noisily, and doesn't stop until the snake disappears from their lives. Anyone who has played The Legend of Zelda knows you don't mess with birds, but this takes it to another level. Instead of letting things happen, this mother hen acted on pure instinct, primal instinct, almost a killer instinct, and probably that snake never came near that hen again, or better yet, near any hen. Number 15. Python, honey badger, and jackals. Yes, this is a combination of creatures you definitely wouldn't want to run into in a dark alley. The python can crush you to death, depending on its size. The jackals could pick you clean to the bone. And, as we all know, the honey badger just doesn't care about anything. How all this happened is pretty interesting because, as you can see in the video, a large python had caught a honey badger and was trying to kill it. But then, along comes a jackal, which ends up helping to save the honey badger from the python, something you probably wouldn't expect, but it happened. Eventually, the honey badger manages to break free, and both the badger and the jackal start attacking the python together. Sounds good so far, right? At first, yes, because with the help of another jackal, they manage to catch the python off guard and eventually kill it. Teamwork. But then the honey badger turns on the jackals, deciding that it wants the meal and no one else is going to have it. Keep in mind, the jackals saved the badger's life, and the badger was even happy with their help in taking down the python. But when it came time to eat, the badger wasn't having it. I know this video is supposed to be about the snake, but this part is even more important. This is about justice, dignity, and being grateful to those who help you in times of need. But then again, the honey badger just doesn't care. The honey badger doesn't give a damn. Number 16. Sand cat versus desert snake. One of the most interesting things about snakes is that they're not just spread all over the world, but across a wide variety of biomes and habitats. You'll find them in grasslands, forests, jungles, even in the water, and of course in arid areas like the desert. These desert snakes are often some of the deadliest because they have venom and a quick strike ability that helps them survive in such harsh conditions. The thing is, though, they need to know who they're up against if they want to survive, and, well, this one definitely didn't survive because it didn't face a small, harmless creature, it faced a sand cat. Yes, this cat simply approached a desert snake, and the battle that followed was intense. Number 17. Snake versus porcupine. Just to be clear, although snakes are absolutely incredible predators with finely tuned senses that put humans to shame in many ways, that doesn't mean they're the smartest creatures in the animal kingdom. After all, this entire list is based on the fact that snakes have the bad habit of picking fights with opponents that aren't exactly a good match for them, and sometimes they go even further and eat things they really shouldn't. As the title of this entry reveals, this is the case of a snake versus a porcupine. Yes, one day a snake decided it wanted to have a porcupine for dinner, but not just any porcupine. It chose a full-sized meal, one that weighed 30 kilos, about 66 pounds. That's right, it swallowed a 30-kilo porcupine, planning to digest it over time, as most snakes do when they kill their prey. But of course, the joke was on the snake, because even though it managed to swallow the creature and get it down its body, it suffered a well-deserved revenge, causing swelling and a lot of pain. The worst part, perhaps, was that someone found this snake in its swollen state and started showing it to people, taking photos and videos and posting them online. At the time, they didn't know what it had eaten. A few days after the meal, the snake died, probably from the pain and agony it was in. When they opened the snake, they found the porcupine inside, its quills embedded deep in the snake's body. In the animal world, just like with humans, you really need to be careful about what you eat. Number 18. Mongoose versus Cape Cobra. When you think of rivalries in the animal kingdom, true duels between enemies that want to tear each other apart, you probably picture dogs and cats, insects versus birds, and so on. But without a doubt, one of nature's greatest rivalries is the mongoose against the snake. And this video, showing a mongoose facing off with a Cape Cobra, is clear proof of why this rivalry is so fierce. As you can see, at first there isn't much action. The mongoose just walks around casually. But when it enters a house, it comes across a Cape Cobra. What follows is an intense showdown that could easily compete with anything shown on Discovery Channel or Animal Planet. These two natural enemies fight with fierce intensity, but also with surprising calm and control. Seriously, watch how the battle goes back and forth, with each landing blows but also adapting to the situation. The mongoose, in particular, not only reads the snake's attacks, but also manages to get close and almost taunt it into striking. And when the snake does strike, the mongoose shows no fear at all. Even when it backs off a little, it's only to get into a better position for the fight. This isn't just intense, it's incredible. The only thing that could have made it better is if the mongoose had listened to its master and gone for higher ground. Number 19. Kangaroo rats versus rattlesnakes. Here's something else you probably don't hear much in real life. Kangaroo rats. Yes, let me repeat it so it sticks. Kangaroo rats. Honestly, I'm not sure what to make of that, but let's go on. If you think these are rats wearing kangaroo pants and therefore expert fighters, you're mistaken. But if you think they're rats with huge legs and feet that can literally beat up a rattlesnake that tries to eat them, then you're on the right track. In fact, this ability to strike back at snakes is pretty important in California. Kangaroo rats react fast and often manage to jump away from the snake, leaving the serpent biting nothing but air while the rat leaps as much as 7 or even 8 times its body length. Scientists have studied the strength of these rats' legs, and the results were impressive. The rats react at lightning speed and can kick a rattlesnake's head so hard it gets flung in another direction. This is a perfect example of evolution in action, because most of the time a rat is literally a snake's favorite lunch. They're not meant to face off and fight unless they've got some serious help or are spreading a disease to the snake. But here, the rats have developed legs that let them fight back and fight back hard. Just to be clear, I still think rats are pests on this earth, but in this case, good for them. Number 20. Snake versus turtle. The phrase, "that snake messed with the wrong turtle," isn't something you hear every day, especially because when you think of turtles, you don't picture them as aggressors. You actually see them more as defensive creatures that use their shells to escape predators and ensure their survival. But as this snake would soon find out, just because a turtle is inside its shell doesn't mean it's defenseless. In this particular attack, a snake came across a turtle inside its shell and thought somewhat correctly that it had found an easy meal. And when you think about how a turtle hides inside its shell, the snake wasn't wrong. The turtle pulls itself in completely, and the snake's body can slither inside the shell, which is exactly what it did. But the problem was that the turtle wasn't willing to give up that easily. The moment the snake put its head inside the shell, it got bitten. And not just bitten, it was bitten so hard that the snake had a violent reaction, its body writhing as if it were screaming in pain. Even though snakes don't scream? Or do they? Maybe that's a question for another time. The snake managed to get away, but as you can see, it shot off at high speed because it wanted nothing more to do with that turtle. So let this be a point of reference, not just for you snakes watching and you know who you are, but for everyone. Just because you're in defense mode doesn't mean you can't strike back. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, please subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Also, check out other interesting videos that are appearing right now on your screen, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.